You're in for a treat with a wonderful presentation from our dear Mike, who's going to be talking to us about Slack and how it is a tool that is fostering a collaborative, inspiring, and engaging culture. Also, he will be joined by our group CEO, Marko Perme, who will be sharing some of our experiences from Agilcon with Slack. So I think you're really in for a treat. Thank you, Mike. You take over. Yeah?
Thank you, Irena. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike. As you can see in these slides, Mike Lagutin. I'm sales director at Slack and Salesforce. And to be honest, I wanted to share with you that this is my first public appearance in 2 years. So my last presentation in front of clients and customers and partners was back in late February 2020. And when I back to my home city, to Dublin, Ireland, I actually found everything was closed and locked down. And since that, I never traveled. Well, I did few good virtual presentations, but so I apologize in advance if I look messy. I will try to do my best, and the skills should catch up quickly. When I was thinking about what to present today, I actually was thinking maybe to start with some features to explain what Slack is all about, but eventually I decided maybe it's better to show you some use cases, some examples, how Slack can foster collaboration and improve the employee experience in your organizations. So this is all about my presentation. Obviously 30 minutes is not enough to cover everything, but I will try to catch the most interesting and exciting things about Slack. But before moving to the product itself, let's talk about offices a little bit, all right? So physical offices, they exist for a number of years. And in the 80s and 90s, there was a boom of offices. And the digital infrastructure, which is the blue part on this diagram, actually supplemented the physical office. In the late 2000s, the digital technology actually reached the level that allows people not to work from the office. So we could start remote work 10 years ago, but it didn't happen. The good question is why it didn't happen. Some people saying that probably it was about habit to go to the office from 9 to 6 or 9 to 5. Or some other people, especially managers, saying that it was pretty hard to manage the people who are remote, to reach and establish the same level of productivity just like in the office. So this is why it didn't happen. And probably it could have the same for years, But pandemic hit, and we suddenly found ourselves working in virtual environment, in digital environment. And when pandemic is gone, we actually understood that many companies, they stay the same. They actually continue to work in flexible and digital environment. And now we can see that physical offices is actually supplements our digital offices. We call it digital HQ. So again, we now working in digital environment, but in the same time, our business is facing pretty much the same challenges, just like before. And even more, this digital environment actually opens up even bigger challenges for our organizations. So let's take a look on this, and let's take a few examples of these challenges. So collaboration, knowledge sharing, agility. But I think one of the most important is how to coordinate our people, or it's better to say how to align our people, okay? Because if our people working and pulling company and pulling tasks in the different directions, well, probably there will be negative impact on productivity and on the results, okay? So company, we are spending hours and hours. We are making meetings, tasks, reports in order to align our people. And this actually consumes up to 50% our time, up to 50% of our time. So it's a huge amount of effort to make our people aligned. But it's not about, this meeting is not important. No, they are critical. But there is a demand, especially from the management, is how to make it a little bit more efficient. And there is a report and there is a data that proves that we don't like these meetings. Because again, it's not efficient, it's wasting of time in many cases, etc., etc. And this is the data actually, which was gathered before pandemic. So now, after pandemic, I can tell you that according to statistics, we are spending on the meeting more than 50% of our time. It's huge. Again, it's a wasting of time sometimes. So pandemic also brought another challenge, which we called flexibility. And when we're talking about flexibility, we usually mean, okay, it's most likely it's where to work from the office or from remote location or from home, etc., etc. But in reality, and actually statistics proves that, but in reality, there are more than 90% of our employees saying that flexibility is when to work, not only where to work from. You see, and this is actually represent. Oops, sorry, my bad. This 95% represents a big risk for organization, for employee experience, because not all of the organization, they're happy and they're capable to provide this level of when and where flexibility. So again, it influenced employee experience. And there is another slide, another data that shows that people start looking for another job. More than half of our people, they are open to new job opportunity. And this is happening exactly because of this. So it means that it's not enough to have nice office, nice kitchen, nice gym, but it's also important to provide good experience in digital form. Okay. So let's also take a look on the how companies actually operates in the virtual world. You may tell me, okay, when pandemic hit, most of the companies they survived, so nobody died. Business survived, everything is okay. But let's take a look what kind of infrastructure actually supported that transition. So most of the companies, they followed this approach. So as a collaboration tool, they used emails. And as a video tool, well, they simply replace physical meetings with the virtual meetings using different platform, which is openly available now at the market. It looks like working solution, but again, let's take a look what is not really working and how this type of solution doesn't really help us to establish good employee experience. Let's take a look on email first. Do you know how email old? Any ideas? It's almost 50 years old, the technology itself. Can you imagine? And it's still very popular and still very important for many organizations. So if we take an average person in a company, and this average person sends, let's say, 30 emails a day, and there are 1,000 people in the company, it means that company generates 30,000 emails in one day. Let's take a look on an inbox on the average person in this company. So an average person in the company receives around 20-25 emails per day. So it means that this person sees only a small fraction of the whole information which is circling around the company. And also, there's a fundamental problem with that, you know, because every inbox we are using, I mean, every one of us who are using emails, in inbox, we can see only part of the information which is circling around the company. And we can get this information only if sender decides to include us to this email, you see. Also, on top of that, if I ask you, for example, are you using email when you communicate with your families and friends? Probably not. And answer is obvious because it's not convenient. It's more convenient to use messengers and tools like that, because email they simply was not designed for communication. Or another example, remember your experience when you started a new job. How your email inbox looked like. It was empty. Agree? So maybe only a couple of emails from IT team with the explanation how to set up password or welcome message from your manager. So just think about it. The new employee, when he starts or she starts in the company, they have access to nothing, almost nothing. They do not see the important discussions. They do not see the critical communication which is coming. They do not see the knowledge which is circulated. So these new people, they have to, you know, request certain information to get this information. Okay. So again, there are many challenges which is related to email, and this is why I'm telling you this. So just to explain why email is not enough to support existing digital environment. So, a small note about meetings. So looks like there is a good tools now in the market that allow you to adapt to the digital environment. And we also, in 2 years, everyone learned how to use video conferences. But again, I can give you another example to show how this virtual environment, virtual meetings actually break the sense of belonging. So imagine a meeting, 10 people, 5 people joining from the office, another 5 joining remotely. Looks like pretty common scenario, right? But the thing is that surveys shows that these 5 people who is joining remotely, they feel themselves disconnected because they understand that there is discussion happening behind the microphone and they cannot join that conversation, you see? So again, there is a fundamental barrier with this type of conversations, this type of meetings. Also, on top of that, there are a few questions, challenging questions I can ask to these virtual meetings. For example, what should be the duration of this virtual meeting? Should it be half an hour or 1 hour? We don't know. Second question, when you join somebody's meeting or when you arrange a meeting, are you 100% sure that every person in this meeting shares the same understanding, the goal of this meeting, or shares the same understanding about the topic? Probably not. Also, what is important to mention, do we have consistent or do we have persistent space where we can discuss or share ideas after meeting is ended? Probably not. Another question I may ask, how we can manage the meetings with remote locations. For example, the locations who are located outside in different time zones. Okay, so again, another challenge for the meetings. So again, the question is if there is a better tool to manage all of this complexity. Well, the answer is yes, and the answer is Slack, obviously, because the presentation is about Slack. But let's take a closer look about on Slack. I believe some of you at least heard about the Slack, or maybe already using it. But Slack was built on the 3 major pillars. So the first one is to break down communication and collaboration silos by using Slack channels. I think the easiest way to explain what Slack channel is all about is, well, let's take example from the previous slide about 30,000 emails which is circulated in our companies. And let's take all of these emails and convert them to messages, okay? And let's take all of the inboxes we have and convert them to specific spaces divided by a certain topic. And we call it channels. These topics can be anything related to the company or related to which is relevant to the company or relevant to employees. It could be functional channels by function. It could be channels by location, by task, by project, even by certain, affinity groups which may exist in your company, anything. On top of that, channels is not only to communicate, but also channels can store any type of data which is important to have when you discuss a certain topic, etc., etc., etc. So the second thing about Slack is Slack was designed to embrace flexibility. By saying flexibility, I mean flexibility in when and where to work from, okay? So do you remember my question about how long, about duration of the standard meeting? So what kind of meetings you are usually receiving? Is it half an hour, 1 hour? Any other meetings? No? Exactly. So in most cases, it's predefined by the calendar, because it's allow you to pick certain, predefined numbers and durations. But when we launched Slack Huddle, which is built-in video and audio communication tool in Slack, we actually understood that the average duration of the meeting is just 15 minutes. So imagine the amount of time we saved by simply launching this feature at Slack. Okay, this is again another example. So the third pillar of Slack is automation. So Slack has built-in integrations with thousands and thousands office softwares, and our clients, actually customers, created many other connectors. And also now MuleSoft, as a part of Salesforce, can help you to create connections with almost everything in your office to create a unique digital experience with your employees. So these are about Slack. Let me give you a few examples, because I promised you that I won't pitch you the features, which I kind of started doing so. So let's talk about some examples. So first example about being alignment. So I'm sales director. I need to understand how the deals are progressing in my team. Instead of asking my account executive to join to the call or to join the meeting to explain me what's going on, I'm going to the channel dedicated to this particular client, this particular deal. Okay? And in this channel, I can see all the communication happening between my account executive, relationship management, legal, sales operations, even some messages from the customer, including all the documents, commercial offers, again, agreements, etc., etc. I shouldn't even ask my account executive to join me for a call to explain that. I can see it. I can see everything. And the thing is that I'm not asking them to create this channel for me. This is the way how they're doing the business. And for me, this is just a complimentary bonus that I can read it. And it's not only me and the management on top of me. They can go to this channel and see what's the progress. So this is another example. Now, another example I can give you was about again newcomers, new employees. So I was in this situation a few months ago when I started with Slack. And believe you or not, I wasn't started with empty inbox. Instead, I was automatically assigned to few corporate channels where I could get anything I needed when I started. On top of that, there was a separate channel created for onboarding, which include all the documents required for me to successfully onboard in the company, including chat with the guys like me who just started. So again, very convenient and very good way to onboard. Another example I wanted to give you is related to open communication and open culture. I think in the standard environment, for example, if a company using emails, it's unlikely possible it is possible, but I think people unlikely email to the top management or CEO of the company. In some big organization, the inbox of the top management even blocked, so you cannot email. But in Slack, whenever top manager or CEO post message in the channel, well, it's easier to react on this message. It's easier to engage to the conversation with the top management, okay? I can give you recent example from my experience. So there was a policy change in our company, and obviously there was a message from the top management in the channel, and thanks to the emoji culture in Slack, the reaction was quite visible. Many people simply dislike it, and this quick feedback actually cycle back the conversation at management side on how to revise the message, how to revise the decision in order to make it more convenient for the people. Again, this is another example on how Slack help you to open communication even further. And there is one more slide from me, which is related to employee experience and knowledge sharing, if you want. Again, example from my life, from my job life. I'm having team meetings with my guys twice a week. But as you can imagine, I think it's happening everywhere. So you recognize the situation straight away. When you're having a big meetings, there are a few people who usually louder than others. Okay, and these people, they do not allow usually to speak to other people who tend to be introverted. You see. So what I did in order to encourage people to share more knowledge and to interact with each other, what we did, we actually set up a bot within Slack, which picked 2 random people from the team and set a meeting for them. There is no dedicated topic. They can discuss everything they want, but the idea was just to have 2 people connected and to talk to each other. It looked similar to conversation next to the water cooler in the office or maybe a coffee machine, but in the digital world. And the guys liked it a lot. Again, this is another example how Slack can help you to encourage people to share their knowledge and to collaborate even further. So I think this is pretty much it. Again, this is when I was preparing this presentation, I was cutting down to make it shorter because the initial version was I think 1 hour, but I don't have this option to present this long. So with this, I wanted to pass to Marko to share his experience on how Slack is utilized in his organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I feel like I will basically be confirming what you already presented quite nicely, and I'll just put it into a context of a real-life company, in this case, Agilcon. Yes, so I'm actually, before I even start, I'm really a long-time fan of Slack, even before Salesforce bought Slack. Besides talking about Salesforce, of course, with our customers, I was talking about Slack all the time. Because I really think and I really believe that besides Salesforce, Slack is the one technology that can actually change the culture, the values of each company. It's a culture-changing technology. I know that a lot of vendors will claim that for their software, but it really is true, I think, for Salesforce. It can change the culture in your company. For the beginning, just a few short facts about how we use and when we started using Slack in Agilcon. We moved basically quite radically 100% of our internal communication. So all the one-on-one messages on email, all the group emails, everything from, as I said, email to Slack already back in 2016. So this was quite radical. In a matter of 2 or 3 months, basically no internal emails were sent, never again. Today we have about 80 active users, basically all employees. We have about 80 public channels, so these are channels that all the employees can join. We have numerous, obviously, private channels we'll talk about later. And I just checked yesterday, the statistics is that we sent about 60,000 messages each month. This was for the September. And Slack is, in Agilcon, is the collaboration piece of everything we do. It's a collaboration piece of how we discuss about customers internally. It's a collaboration piece how we discuss about projects. It's obviously collaboration piece of this conference today as a marketing project. And recently we also started using Slack to collaborate with our partners. So for example, with Salesforce, also of course with Mike at Slack, we only use Salesforce. It dramatically speeds up a partner collaboration. I cannot tell you how fast it is to get someone from within Salesforce to discuss some budgets for, I don't know, this event. Yeah? Or escalate if the money did not come yet, things like that, up to creating new ideas and so on. So it's just a dramatic improvement of not just speed, but also, that emotional part, how we collaborate with our partners. So, as said already, Slack fundamentally changed how we collaborate and align in Agilcon. So, among all the things that Slack contributed to in a positive way in Agilcon, I chose 3 that I would like to shortly present to you. So first of all is what already Mike mentioned, and I will have a few examples how we can align better with Slack. The second thing is how we can speed up our business. And the third one is also very important, employee experience. So don't expect any revolutionary slides or statements on everything, because Slack is actually the power of little things. It's the power of little emoticon. It's the power of little reply to something. It's how it feels. It's not about some big complex features that you get. It's actually a shockingly simple tool at the end of the day. So if we talk about organizational alignment, this is not a mistake. I intentionally put some of our customer names on the slide because it's public references. Many of them are actually quoted in the hall. So I just left it as it is. So all the discussions in Agilcon about our key accounts, about our key projects, also generally processes or initiatives and projects in marketing take place in the so-called Slack channels. So it means that we create, for example, account team for a specific customer. We put all the people that need to know what's going on at this account and then collaborate. So all the people that need to know what's going on. If someone new joins the company, he or she can read the history of what was happening at this account. So it really is a great tool to not just communicate, collaborate, but also to preserve company history at the end of the day. And it is not just posting some information, it's also how Slack involves feedbacks and engagement. Again, it's little things. You can see on the right-hand side at the bottom how actually people react to different messages. So this is just a part of the screenshot of some positive message that happened. Hvala ker ste would mean this is just the end of a message, thank you for being here, or something like that. And then a lot of emotions came back, different kinds of hearts and some replies and so on. This is the way how actually in Slack we invite not just collaboration, but as I said, feedbacks and this emotional part. And also what Mike sent is, mentioned already before, you don't feel hierarchy, company hierarchy in Slack. It's kind of a person to person. It's much easier for me as a CEO to reach anyone. Obviously, I can do that also. I could do it also in email, but in Slack, it really feels really kind of easy, unintrusive. And also, it's very easy for all the people in the company to reach me or anyone else in the management. So the second aspect would be the speed of doing business. So emails, usually the expected time of reply to an email would be in days, maybe even. Whereas when we talk about Slack, it's usually in hours. In Agilcon, internal emails are highly discouraged. For example, if someone would send an email, and this is true since the beginning, since 2016, if someone sends an email to me internally, I would screenshot the email, move it to Slack, and continue collaboration there. I just do not want to have this situation where we are going back and forth in an email. It doesn't happen. So we switch to Slack immediately. It speeds up any kind of decision making dramatically. Sometimes, let's say that we get a new coworker, it comes from more kind of a traditional organization, and then someone would say, yeah, but I need to write this complex message with a lot of structure and bullets and so on. I believe this kind of messages should not exist. No one reads that, even if it's an email. And if you need to distribute complex content, then probably you need a dedicated tool like project management for that. So I encourage people to use Slack in a way that messages are short, precise. Also, what is written in the last bullet is that we don't spend too much time styling what we want to say, but we actually just say it because it's message, it's chat, so we don't need to care about all the bolds and italics and colors and so on. It actually saves quite a lot of time. Yeah? And another practical consequence is also, for example, this is my own experience. I know that when I go to Slack, I will collaborate with coworkers and Salesforce as a partner. And when I go to Inbox, I will collaborate with customers and partners. So it's quite clear separation. I always know what I'm doing. This is the hour for internal collaboration, and then I have an hour for customer communication. And the third view, the third aspect is employee experience. Again, it's the power of small things, no revolutionary things here. What probably we all agree is that today employees, I wouldn't say just the new generations, but we all expect consumer-grade experience also from the applications, from the apps that we use at our workplaces. Yeah? And expressing emotions is a big part of that. So we can do, as Mike mentioned, this disapproval, but I focus more on the positive way, so informal approvals, expressing excitement, expressing congratulations, gratitude, encouragement. This is big part of using Slack and feeling, how Slack actually is. What I'm quite excited about that, actually respect that Slack is investing in this, is the tools where each employee can control how he or she can be reached. So how the messages reach me, how am I notified, How can I tell all the coworkers what is my current status? I'm on lunch, or actually I'm outside, or working, I'm walking the dog, I'm ready to work, I'm on a meeting, and so on. And then again, also when I'm sending messages, I can control, is this sent right now, or will this be delivered to people in the channel, for example, tomorrow morning, and so on. So this is something that, if properly used, can decrease the anxiety and this remove this feeling of being 24/7 online. I have a few examples also, small examples of how we communicate in Slack. One is in English and the other one is actually in Slovenian. So for example, the first one is how we greet each new employee. So we have a channel in Agilcon where each new employee, or the whole company is there in the channel, and each new employee which would come would write a short message, introduce himself and herself, and then he or she would get a lot of likes and emotions and welcomes and hearts and so on. And we all like getting likes. Whichever platform, social platform you use, it feels good, and it really feels good also when you come to a new company to get this kind of a welcome. The second example is how we celebrate success on projects. So this is in Slovenian, but in general, what happened here is that project manager described how the team achieved the end of the project and how the customer was happy and how we went go live, and then he thanked to the whole team and so on. And again, and he ended with this, thank you for being. And of course then, again, a lot of emotions were pouring back to his message, and then even some threaded communication with the additional thanks from the team members came in. So again, small things, but at the end of the day, it means a lot to people that are actually involved in this kind of conversation. So this is basically it from my side. As mentioned, no revolution, a lot of small, nice things that make a workplace better, also in a remote context.
Thank you, Marko. I like your mention about power of small things, and obviously the software is well, software incapable to make this change, and there is many things to be done on the process and also policy side in the company. And there's a good book I can recommend to everyone, which is exactly about this. The books includes many examples of how a company fails and what they did good in order to move to the digital reality in a better way. And I wanted to present one book to Marko. Marko, you left stage too early. This is for you.
I actually wanted to borrow it, but
No way. Thank you so much. Thanks for attention. If you have any questions, but I guess we don't have time for the questions, but you can catch me outside.